Welcome, and thank you for joining us on this deep dive into one of the most iconic and mysterious aircraft ever built, the Lockheed U-2, often called the Dragon Lady. Today we'll trace how the United States launches this high-altitude reconnaissance plane toward the edge of space for sensitive missions, explain what makes it unique, describe pilot life at 70,000 feet, touch on its history and famous moments, and discuss the role it still plays in modern intelligence. If you enjoy this kind of behind-the-scenes aviation story, please don't forget, channel, like, subscribe and share. Let's get airborne. Opening scene, the prelude to a mission picture an early morning at a remote Air Force base. The runway stretches long and empty, the air is cold, and a sleek, long-winged aircraft sits on the ramp like a glider painted in matte black. Ground crews move with practiced calm. The pilot, suited in a full-pressure suit like an astronaut, walks to the cockpit. There's an almost ceremonial hush. The Dragon Lady is about to climb to altitudes where the curvature of the Earth becomes visible, into the thin air that sits at the very edge of space. A quick note on terminology and limits: when people say, edge of space, in the context of the U-2, they're usually referring to operating altitudes around 60,000–75,000 feet. That's well above normal airliner traffic and near the stratosphere. The U-2 isn't a spacecraft. It's an airplane optimized for extreme altitude and long loiter times. Its missions are reconnaissance and signal collection, highly sensitive activities that inform national decisions. Today's overview is meant to be informational and historical. It won't include any technical steps that could be used to replicate classified operations. A short history: why the U-2 exists. The U-2 was born in the early Cold War when the United States needed reliable, detailed imagery and signals from far inside adversary territory. Conceived in the 1950s by Lockheed's Skunk Works under Clarence Kelly Johnson, the U-2 was designed to fly far higher than contemporary fighters and bombers so it could operate above most defenses of the era. It first flew operationally in the mid-1950s and quickly became central to strategic reconnaissance. The platform's continued upgrades over decades have kept it useful even when satellites and drones emerged, because each platform brings unique strengths. Design highlights that let it reach the edge of space. What makes the U-2 able to operate so high? Extremely long, glider-like wings. These wings give superb lift in thin air and make the U-2 feel more like a motorized glider at altitude. Lightweight structure and efficient engine. The airframe and engine combination is tuned for steady, high-altitude cruise rather than speed or maneuverability. Pressure suit and life support. U-2 pilots wear pressure suits similar to what astronauts use. At the altitudes flown, a rapid loss of cabin pressure becomes life-threatening in seconds. Specialized sensors and modular bays. The U-2 carries advanced optical, infrared, radar, and electronic intelligence suites depending on the mission. Preparing for the flight, people and procedures. A successful mission begins long before the aircraft taxis. Planning includes mission briefings, intelligence coordination, weather analysis for the route and target area, and sensor setup. Ground crews perform detailed pre-flight inspections, flight control checks, fuel and hydraulic servicing, and sensor calibrations. The pilot goes through suit checks, life support hookups, and systems tests in the cockpit. Mental and physiological preparation is significant. Pilots are trained for hypoxia recognition, emergency descent, and ejection procedures given the unique demands of high altitude. Flight, takeoff and climb. How the plane gets airborne. The U-2 takes off from a conventional runway like any other fixed-wing aircraft, but the experience is unusual. Those long, high aspect ratio wings produce lift at very low angles of attack, sometimes creating handling quirks on the ground. The aircraft's bicycle-style landing gear and small outrigger wheels, which fall away after takeoff, are adaptations for its design. Once airborne, the U-2 performs a deliberate, energy-managed climb, often with chase vehicles present on the ground to assist on landing later. As it ascends through thinner layers of atmosphere, the aircraft transitions to a higher true airspeed to maintain lift while indicated airspeed remains modest. Reaching the edge, at mission altitude, the world looks different. The sky darkens to deep blue, contrails are rare, and the curvature of the horizon becomes noticeable for those who have never been that high. Sensors operate with expansive, long-range fields of view. From tens of thousands of feet above, A U-2 can collect imagery and signals from vast areas, often beyond the reach of tactical aircraft. The combination of altitude and sophisticated sensor packages makes it invaluable for strategic reconnaissance. On-station operations. What the U-2 does once on station, the U-2 may cruise a racetrack pattern, linger over target areas, or transit to multiple collection points during a single sortie. Its sensors capture high-resolution photographs, electro-optical and infrared data, synthetic aperture radar returns that can see through clouds, and electronic intelligence that detects and characterizes signals. Some missions prioritize persistent observation, others focus on rapid collection and relay of time-sensitive information. The aircraft's modest radar cross-section at high altitude helps reduce detection probability, though it is not stealthy in the modern sense. Pilot life at extreme altitude. Being a U-2 pilot is unlike piloting any other aircraft. The pressure suit is essential, the cockpit cabin is small and oxygen systems are critical. Pilots must manage long periods of isolation and extreme focus, monitoring sensors, navigation, and communications while wearing a suit that restricts motion. Flight durations can be many hours, demanding physical endurance and mental discipline. Upon return, the landing is delicate. At high altitude the aircraft handles like a glider, yet on approach it can feel responsive and unforgiving. Ground chase teams often guide the pilot during rollout and recovery. Safety, risks, and historical costs. High altitude flying carries inherent risks. The history of the U-2 includes celebrated successes and tragic losses. The well-known 1960 incident, when a U-2 piloted by Gary Powers was shot down during a reconnaissance mission, shows the geopolitical sensitivity of such flights. Over the years, technological improvements have reduced vulnerabilities but risks remain, both physical hypoxia, rapid decompression, and operational, hostile air defenses in contested environments. The U-2 program includes rigorous emergency training and continuous upgrades to survivability and avionics. Modern upgrades in the U-2's role today. Although designed in the 1950s, the U-2 has evolved. Avionics suites, sensor packages, and communications links have been modernized, enabling the aircraft to integrate with real-time intelligence networks. The U-2's niche is persistent, high-altitude collection with large payload flexibility, a complement, not a replacement, for satellites and unmanned systems. Its ability to be retasked on short notice and to carry unique sensor combinations keeps it relevant for contemporary intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance (ISR) needs. Famous missions and public images. The U-2 has been at the center of multiple pivotal moments in modern history, from Cold War reconnaissance to post-9/11 operations. Public imagery of U-2 sorties and pilots has helped demystify some aspects of the program, but many missions remain classified. What is public is enough to show the Dragon Lady's lasting strategic value. How launches for secret missions differ from routine training flights. A secret mission typically implies additional operational security around routing, times, sensor configuration, and mission objectives. Compared to a routine training sortie, these missions involve tighter communications protocols, more stringent access controls for ground crews, and sometimes alternate flight planning to reduce predictability. The public cannot and should not know operational specifics of classified missions, but it's safe to say they demand higher levels of coordination across multiple agencies, and use the full suite of protective and secure communications available to the platform. The human side, pilots, crews, and the culture. U-2 pilots are often among the Air Force's most experienced aviators. Their training includes high-altitude physiology, advanced navigation, and special recovery techniques. Ground crews, maintenance technicians, and mission planners form a tight-knit team that prides itself on reliability and precision. The culture around the U-2 mixes technical excellence with a touch of mystique. Pilots earn a special status among aviators for operating at the extremes of atmospheric flight. Closing. Why the Dragon Lady still matters even in an age of satellites and drones. The U-2 remains an important national asset. Its ability to carry a diverse sensor suite, retask rapidly, and operate from forward bases gives decision-makers flexible, high-fidelity observations. The stories of pilots, the craft's distinctive silhouette, and the strategic wins it enabled all contribute to its legendary status. The Dragon Lady is a reminder that sometimes an elegant, well-designed solution from decades ago still serves modern needs, especially when people, technology, and careful planning come together. Final notes and call to action. If you found this look at how the U-2 climbs toward the edge of space for secret missions interesting, Please don't forget, channel, like, subscribe and share. We'll keep bringing long-form, detail-rich videos about aircraft, missions, and the people who fly them. Leave a comment with what you want us to cover next. Manned reconnaissance platforms, satellite comparisons, or pilot training programs, and we'll take a look.